about to go to sleep. They just scored Mayweather Castillo, and I scored along with them. And I was kind of surprised that Mayweather won so many rounds. He actually won when I did my tally 9 rounds to 3. And Castillo missed a lot, man. That dude missed a lot. He came on strong late, like I said before. Um, you could have it 9 rounds to 3, 8 rounds to 4, because 10, 11, and 12, Castillo took those. Possibly. I thought Floyd took the 12th. I think Castillo was landing a lot of shots that Floyd was catching on his gloves uh, when they were in close on his right side. Sometimes Castillo would get below Floyd's elbow on his left, but for the most part, Floyd was blocking most of his shots. Actually, he was the one teeing off on Castillo, and you could tell because Castillo's face at the end of the 11th was bloody, and continued for the 12th. So Castillo was frustrated during that fight. He could not find Floyd at all, and that was the first fight. Anyways, man, peoples, I just wanted to shout out Champside. Champside's doing a great job, and I'm gonna leave you guys with that. You guys can leave in the comment section whatever you want to comment on, but clearly Castillo lost that fight. He also lost the second one, as we all know. And it's just strange how people will stretch and reach to try and find something in Floyd's record, or find something with Floyd to say, Floyd didn't face the best, or he ducked the best, or he lost certain fights. And you can just tell these people are coming from an emotional place. They're coming from a place where they just don't like the guy, and so they're just trying to find something on him. But there really is nothing. You can't really find nothing on Floyd and his record. His record is impeccable. It's crazy. So I just wanted to make this video. And I've seen witch hunts before, but the thing about it is, usually it's not backed by facts. It's not factually correct. So it was shout out to Champside. Right now, I think Lion Killer Podcast is doing another anti-Floyd sort of thing again. And people are trying to constantly put this guy down. I see them in groups and so on doing it, and I'm like, but why? Why are you? Because he's such a threat. The guy lived his life how he wanted to, made a lot of money, was able to dominate the game and also dominate the business of the game. He did everything, well. And so a lot of people are angry, jealous, mad that this guy, he has so much clout and he lives his life how he wants to live his life. So they're trying to mentally beat him down. He talk about, the greatest fighters of all time and so on. To be honest with you, I'm going to be straight with you guys. Floyd is somewhere in the top 5 greatest fighters of all time. Because the kinds of things he did in so few fights, ain't nobody can replicate that just like that. And then on top of that, he beat everybody he faced. Everybody he faced, he beat. And I'm going to say this again. I believe the guy that came closest to beat Floyd Mayweather was Miguel Cotto. The other guy that gave Floyd pretty good test, but the fight was stopped, was Jesus Chavez. Now, I know Floyd had a tough fight with Emmanuel Burton, but he was coming back from, absence from the ring, so he was a little bit ring rusty. Probably underestimated Emmanuel Burton as well. And he was fighting at lightweight. He had some weight on him, so he fought at lightweight. And while Emmanuel Burton had a really specific skill set that made him very, very, very slippery, I thought that actually the Jesus Chavez fight was one of his toughest fights. Not the Castillo, because Jesus Chavez was bringing the heat, and in round 9, just before Ronnie Shields stopped the fight, Jesus Chavez was bringing the heat to Floyd. Floyd was tagging him really flush. He was bringing the heat to Floyd. So if you ask me what I think, I know only Floyd would know that, but what I think Floyd's two toughest fights in his career were, there's Emmanuel Burton, of course, but Jesus Chavez was a tough fight. That was a tough ass fight. That was a tougher fight than Castillo fights, any Castillo fight, even tougher than a Marcos Maidana fight, in my opinion. Um, and the other fight that I thought was tough because he broke both his hands in that fight was the Carlos Hernandez fight when he was fighting with two broken hands. So I thought that was also very interesting. Um, but in terms of tough fights in his career, Marcos Maidana fight, yeah, Marcos Maidana was very physical, very rough, very rugged, very dirty. I mean, some guys, I mean, Ken Buchanan got hit in the balls by Roberto Duran, and that was it. The fight was over, right? Floyd got hit in his balls multiple times by Marcos Maidana, and Floyd like he was still doing it. He was still fighting, and it was a real fight, a real brawl, a real bang out. But I can tell you this, and this is where I'm going to stop, right? I'm going to tell you this about this guy. He didn't have the most exciting fights. The drag out, one guy gets knocked down, the other guy gets knocked down. No, it wasn't like a Victor Ortiz Andre Berto fight or a Victor Ortiz Marcos Maidana fight, right? He don't have them kind of fights, right? He don't have a Sugar Ray Leonard versus Daniel Lalonde kind of fight, okay? He don't have them kind of fights. But what he does have is some freaking exciting fights nonetheless. I remember DeMarcus Chuck Corley versus Floyd Mayweather. Goddamn exciting fight. Okay, Diego Corrales versus Floyd Mayweather. So all I'm saying is, people say all kinds of things about the dude, and yet he has the highest grossing pay-per-view of all time. How the hell did that happen then? If he's so boring, you wouldn't pay to see him. And if people say, well, they mostly paid to see him lose. No, no, no. Some paid to see him lose, and some paid to see him win. He get everybody. But at the end of the day, it's still exciting. Otherwise, you wouldn't pay for it. Think about what I'm saying. It's exciting because you're hoping and praying he would lose, and when you see the opponent starting to do something like he's going to lose, you're excited about that. So don't do like his fights aren't excited. You know his fights are exciting. Otherwise, you wouldn't have paid for them. Because by the time you've been hoodwinked 2 or 3 times, you're not gonna pay for it anymore. But you know his product delivers. That's why so many people buy his product. Anything Floyd do, people gonna tune in. Why? Because it's exciting. That's why you tune in. Okay? So I just listen to people talk. I know most of the people who say he's not exciting and he's boring and so on and circulate that stuff have an agenda. He beat their favorite fighter, so they bitter and they angry. And there are other people, because Floyd said he better than them in history. And you know what's so funny? The Colonel, Bob Sheridan, said that Floyd is a better fighter than Sugar Ray Robinson. He said also Floyd is a better fighter than Sugar Ray Leonard. And they like to push the Four Kings stuff. But Sugar Ray Leonard himself knows, okay? Because Sugar Ray Leonard liked to front and say, oh, I could beat anybody in my life. No, you couldn't. You couldn't beat Terry Norris. Terry Norris beat your ass. You know you can't beat Terry Norris. You know you can't beat Hector Camacho. There's no delusions of grandeur there anymore because they beat your ass, okay? So, Sugar Ray Leonard said every champion feels he can beat everybody. Well, you don't. And you know in your heart of hearts, Floyd would have beat your ass. Okay? So let's just stop with the bullshit and fronting. Okay? So yeah, they use Sugar Ray Leonard to pit him against Floyd because Floyd's the current guy right now. Everybody knows Floyd is the dude. Okay? And they can front how much they want. They always look at Floyd. The reason why people have fox and sour grape syndrome is because the king of the mountain is Floyd Mayweather. He's the king of the mountain, and we all know this. Everybody in the boxing world knows this. That's why they go at him so hard. Ain't nobody else a threat. He's the threat. That's why they go at him so hard. They ain't got nothing good to say about him. It's always fighting words. And you listen to all of these people in the media and stuff, how they're going to try and pit a fighter ahead of him. Because they don't want to acknowledge that he's that good. They don't want to crown him king. They don't want to do it. But it don't really matter because the information's out there. All right, he is the best ever. Ain't no sacrilege for that. If y'all could say Manny Pacquiao's the greatest, and it's okay to say he's the greatest, then fuck out of here. Cause Floyd Mayweather is TBE. All right, he is TBE. Now Lennox Lewis has claim to that as well. But ain't no way in fucking hell you telling me that a guy with 26 championship fights, okay, 26 championship wins, beat 22 world champions, right? Beat 24 of the top fighters of the world. Beat 12 Hall of Famers when all is said and done, and then beat 6 all-time greats. There's no way in fucking hell that you telling me that that dude ain't what he claims he is. There's no way in hell. And he did it in only 50 fights, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Only 50 fights. There's nobody that even comes close to comparing themselves with him. It took guys 200 and something fights, 100 and something fights to do what he did. So y'all had to be clean out your fucking mind if you think that this guy doesn't have claim to being the greatest, or if he doesn't have claim to being the best ever. And he didn't even say he was the greatest. He ain't trying to do that because he know that there's too much hate. People will look at him and be jealous of him, and so it's just too much hate out there, too much negative vibes against him for that to happen. So he said something that's factual. He said, I'm the best ever, and he proved it. I say, look at Compy Bucks with the Sweet Science things that say. Look at my record. Look at my fights. And tell me I'm not the best ever. I was dominant. I dominated almost everybody. Right? So, I mean, it is what it is. All the facts and all the stuff point to him being the best ever. I would never say that he's the greatest. You know why I wouldn't say that? But he is, pound for pound, whatever, he's in the top 5. He's in the top 5. I don't give a fuck if you talk about Harry Crabb, Henry Armstrong, Sugar Ray Robinson, and all them other black and white film guys. All right? They can't touch him. He'd beat their ass. And we all know this. We all know this. Boxing is a sport that evolves. You know, and I've been saying it for the longest while. At first, I was public enemy number 1. I was shaking up everything. Now more people are agreeing with me. Because as time moves along, people begin to realize, oh, this motherfucker did some shit. Right? It always happens like that. The more further away he moves, you move from his career, is the more you get to see just how good this guy really was. The only difference is, the difference between me and these motherfuckers is, I see the ability, I see the giftedness, I see the talent, I see the skill of a fighter in their fucking career. I can notice how good a fighter really is. And so I told y'all, Canelo ain't doing shit to Caleb Plant. He's not knocking him out. That's not happening. It's not happening because I see what the fighter brings to the table. I see what kind of fighter Caleb Plant is. Caleb Plant's not about to talk. He do the work. And these fighters, the confidence inside of them is coming from the hard work that they do. It's not just they trying to talk confidence into existence like Deontay Wilder. No, they are confident within themselves because they know they put in the hard work. They listen to their trainers. They listen to their coaches. You know what I mean? So, a shout out to our whole boxing community. Shout out to everybody who boxes. And I just think that the fix was in on HBO. The venom started with Larry Merchant. He just didn't like Floyd. And it just percolated. The poison percolated to other people. And Larry Merchant did that to a number of exceptional fighters, including Roy Jones Jr. And let me say something. I'm going to say another thing. And I'm going to call it a day. People say, well, you know, Roy, he tainted his legacy by losing fights. You can't taint your legacy by losing fights, dummy. You can't. Okay? What's done is done. And Roy, from 1993 to 2003, dominated anything and anyone from 160 to heavyweight. Okay? Dominated. And y'all can say what you want to say. That's just a fact. And it stays there in record forever. All right? After that, he got in fights. He won some. He lost some. But at the end of the day, that's what he did. I want to talk to you guys about something else, but I'll leave another video for that at another time. Because perception, for some people, is reality. But that's not reality. Reality is reality. And perception is perception. So I'm going to come back to that another time. But, you know, there are people who tell me, and have been telling me, oh, don't do that. You're disrespecting the all-time greats. But y'all are the same people who open your big, fat, ignorant mouth and just blaspheme fighters who are great now in front of your face. In real time, they're greats. But you blaspheme them. Okay? And the difference between me and you is I actually come from facts. I'm actually critiquing something. Whereas you guys make up all kinds of shit. And even the media and the organizations, I watch them make up shit on these fighters. Pacquiao and Floyd, they are outstanding fighters. They are all-time greats. And they are greater than a lot of all-time greats you guys esteem higher than them. They've accomplished way more than them. You know? And the other thing I want to just say, because there's so much I want to say, but it's another thing I want to say. Some of y'all's into ticky-tack kind of bullshit. Y'all into ticky-tack, finicky, frivolous bullshit. Boxing's about, if you really want to know what boxing is really about, boxing is about a fighter's great because of who they faced and who they beat at the end of the day. It's not about how many title shots they had and how many championships they won. All of that is great. But at the end of the day, you have to ask, well, who's the guy that you faced, though? Right? And what was the conditions under which you faced them? And when did you face them? That is more important than championships. I keep on telling people, world championships is cool. It's absolutely cool. But the greatness of a person is dependent on who they face and how they performed against them. If I'm whitewashing guys that other people are struggling with, that other people are losing to, or they're having drawn out, dragged out battles with, and getting banged up, but I'm just coming through and I'm beating them and making it look easy. What does it say about my greatness? What does it say about my skill set? I'm going to leave it right there. But shout out to Champside. Champside actually expressed exactly what we always been thinking. What I've always been thinking. And I give him mad props. And for all those other people, you know, I see fanboys out there. And it's really sad because you know a fucking fanboy don't go on facts. Fanboys go on emotion. Right? Fanboys don't come on facts. Some of them try to bring facts, but they twist it and skew it to whatever the best benefits them. But if you was a student of the sport, you know, and you realize, wait a minute, what the fuck is people saying? What are they saying? What do you mean this dude, he's not an all-time great, or he's nobody, or he would, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like sometimes things are so back for fronted. You know, and you know me, I'm a real talker. So, you know, people say, oh, he lost the Castillo fight. And since he lost the Castillo, he would lose to Duran, or he would lose to this guy, or he would lose to... And I'm like, motherfucker, first of all, he didn't lose the fight. And then second of all, if Castillo's style is such a problem for Floyd, right? Or Maidana's style is such a problem for Floyd, or Oscar De La Hoya's style is such a problem for Floyd, when he rematched these dudes, why did he beat them in the rematch? Well, he made adjustments. Motherfucker, what the fuck you talking about? He made adjustments. Because you're saying a certain style beats Floyd. That's what you're basically saying. But there ain't no style that ever beat him. Well, he's got the judges. Shut up. Shut the hell up. He ain't got no judges in no pocket. He ain't got all of this. He never drug cheated. There's no evidence of him drug cheating. And all of this other bullshit that these Pactards bring up. Okay? Reaching for straws. Put it as it is. The next thing they try to do is they try to put down the competition. You can't put down competition when you got Manny Pacquiao, a top 10 all-time great. Possibly top 5 all-time great. When it's all said and done, Manny Pacquiao would have faced 9 Hall of Famers. 9. And I'm not too sure how many all-time greats. I can tell you how many she beat. But how many all-time greats? We'll see. The jury's out on that. Because we still have to see what happens with Thurman and a bunch of other guys. But the point is, Canelo's already an all-time great. And he's probably going to be the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. Whether he wins against Caleb Plant or not. Okay? So that's all I got to say, man. I don't know about y'all. But a lot of y'all trip. A lot of y'all don't know what the heck y'all be talking about. I don't discount the old-time greats because I always believe I can learn from them. And I love learning different things off of them. But don't get it twisted. Boxing as a sport always evolves. And for me, not to recognize its evolution and to be stuck in a time warp and to be negative about the present things that are happening in boxing means my dumb ass has seen its best days. I'm not looking forward and hopeful for the future in anything. That's the attitude I be, a pessimist, which is not the attitude we need for boxing. I'm going to catch you guys later. I'm what you need. Peace.